So why do I believe that coaches, managers, and owners are more important than superstars on team sports? Now, I'm making this video on the back of Kylian Mbappe signing a new deal with Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, and what they're saying is that the deal with the team and I guess he was looking to sign with Real Madrid, another team. The difference in the deals wasn't that much difference in regard to money. What was different was they were offering this player more say in regard to who they're going to hire as other players, who they're going to hire as coaches. So he was basically going to be like a manager or an upper management type person along with being a player. He got to veto trades and do all these different things. And so why I think that this is a problem is because we've seen this actually before not in the same way. Maybe they didn't give another player on their team, Neymar, who's an amazingly talented player, one of the best players in the world. They gave him a lot of power because he was able to talk straight to the ownership. And if he didn't want to practice, or if he didn't want to do this, or he didn't want to do that, he was allowed to because he's making so much money. They're paying him so much. The ownership said, take it easy on him. And the coach was in the middle, now not able to influence his players. And what does that then do to the dynamic of the team? And I say this and I look at this and I think that this is going to be something negative for the team overall. Now, they're still going to do well. They're still going to be a great team. But what I'm talking about is going from great to legendary. And I believe that Kylian Mbappe wants to be legendary. So if you look at some of the legendary players in different sports, I followed basketball for a long time and Michael Jordan was my hero. Michael Jordan wasn't successful really until Phil Jackson came into his life and became his coach. And what did Phil Jackson do? He got him to buy into a system saying, hey, look, you're still going to be the man. You're still going to be scoring 30, 40 points a game. But I need you to rely on some of these other guys from time to time. Not all the time, but from time to time. We have to have a system. And once he bought into that system and understood that he could be great, he had all this success. He did the same thing with Kobe Bryant and Shaq. And when those relationships with ownership, management, coach, and players start to get wishy-washy, where the players start to have more power than the coach, that's when things start to go awry. And I think many great players have missed out on becoming legendary, or at least not having the level of success that they could have had, because ownership started to look at them and say, they're so valuable. Look at all the money that they bring in. Money, money, money. Influence. Not just for ticket sales, but all the merchandising and all the other advertising things. And so they start to look at that, and you might say, hey, well, more power to them. They, at the end of the day, they're about making money. You're right, but what I'm talking about is success in the sport. And so if you look at that relationship and you start to let players who are super valuable, they are more valuable than the coach in regard to dollars in, dollars out. But if you want to talk about success, wins and losses, championships, dynasties, that's when you need that hierarchy. And I always look at great ownership first, great management. Can they bring in the players to surround the superstars? And then the coach, can the coach manage in a year the players with the superstars and deal with all of that comes with it? So I look at Paris Saint-Germain and I look at Kylian Mbappe, amazing, talented player. They're going to do well. They're going to win Ligue 1. They're going to be successful. But are they going to be great? Are they going to be as successful as they could be, especially when they have tough times? When things are going well, it's easy. But when things get tough, you need that leadership. As a player, you have to be selfish. You have to focus on your position. You can't focus on everybody else's position because you have a role in the team. The coach looks at all the roles. That's their job. And when the coach doesn't have the power to tell everybody what to do, when the player has more power, if the player gets upset, what's going to happen? You need someone to corral everybody to say, hey, look, it's no big deal. Let's get it together. Let's focus. Yes, we're down, but we can come back. If the player gets frustrated, if the player's having a bad game, it might throw everything off for the rest of the team. That's why you need that strong leadership. And I think that comes all the way from the ownership, and they have to be strong about it. That's why Real Madrid, I believe, is so successful. Real Madrid was the other club that that Kylian Mbappe was looking to sign for. And they have a management team, and a lot of people don't like the manager, all right? Not the manager. In football, they call it, in European football, they call the coach the manager. But the general manager, the guy who does the signing and the deals, the president, I guess, a lot of people don't like him, but look at his track record. He's been super successful because he's never put one player, even great players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, right now, they're letting him go. They're dealing with Eden Hazard. No player is bigger than the team, the club of Real Madrid. And they've been able to be successful across many generations because of that philosophy. And so I look at the relationship, and this is happening not just with that. Look at Manchester United. There's all these things going on with that. They're trying to turn that around. When you give players too much power, players can, again, focus on themselves and lose focus on the team aspect of things. And you have to have someone that has the most power to be able to corral everybody together, because it's a team sport. If it was an individual sport, you've seen individuals basically do it on their own before. In tennis, you've seen players like John McEnroe, who didn't even have a coach for a while, and be successful. It's different as an individual. When you have a team sport, you need that coach, you need that management, you need the ownership, all to be working in the same line together. If that player starts to decide, I want to do something different, that screws up the entire dynamic. And if they have the power over the coach and the management, like they're giving to this young kid, he's only 23 years old. That's another thing. How much do you really know at 23? He could be the smartest person in the world for all I know. I don't know. But I would say most people haven't had that experience at 23 to understand what goes on, especially when things don't go well. He's been so successful at a young age that things come easy to him. And more power to him, right? Like I said, only time will tell. But I believe that it won't be as good for him and the team in the long term. I think that they'll do well, but they won't reach the level of success that they could if they were a little bit more understanding of that dynamic of ownership, management, coach, and players. So that's my thought on the subject. I think that this is not just relevant to sports. I think this translates into real life, because if you're someone who's talented and doesn't have anything to do with sports, it could be any area of your life, but yet you don't have the mindset to work hard or to follow through or to take the opportunities or to do the things that you need to do on those tough times, your talent might get you places, but it's not going to get you to the level of greatness that you could. Now, maybe you're happy with where you're at. Maybe it's okay. But I would say that there's always that level that when you look back on things, most people are unsatisfied. And a lot of that comes down to what their work ethic was, what their mindset was. And when you're done with your career, whether that's in sports or whether that's in any other area, and you look back and you say, man, I could have done a little bit more here. I knew that I was taking it easy there. Those are the things that leave you unsatisfied. Whereas if you squeeze every last ounce out of you as a player, as a father, as a mother, as a part of an employee as a company, when you say, I've been able to do everything that I was able to do, I maximize my talent. That's a great feeling. When you say, I could have given more, I don't think that's a good feeling. And I think the mindset is kind of like the management and the coaches. They've got to have that philosophy about how we're going about it. Yes, the players still have to be on the pitch and on the court and be able to go through and do what they need to do. But the mindset needs to be there. And that's why you look at some of these great teams, they always have great coaches. Always have great coaches around them. Very rarely do they have success without that. Maybe they have it for one season, but as a dynasty, multiple years, back to back to back, across generations, that only happens when you have good ownership, good management, and good coaches. So that's my thoughts on the subject. I think, again, that they're still going to be successful. Kylian Mbappe has already been very successful, but I don't know that in this situation with what they have there in Paris, I don't believe that that's going to lead them to the most amount of success. I think that when push comes to shove, when bad things start happening, when they lose games, when they're in a fight, it's going to get a little weird, unless if they get someone to come in. And maybe that was part of the deal. Maybe they're going to get someone like Zinedine Zidane, who's a great coach, who can come in and corral the team and get the respect and get him to fall in line. But again, sometimes even with a great coach, a player can start to go above them and go to management and go to the ownership. And so if that's allowed, if he gets upset, hey, you're telling me what to do, but I don't want that to happen, that's when the team dynamic goes to shit, and then everything suffers. So that's what I think on the subject. Done talking about that, but we'll see. Only time will tell. But I think that he probably would have been better off going to Real Madrid, where they understand that dynamic. They've had the success. They know what's going on, and they do it year after year.